Erev Tov, Rabbi. We all know that a person is commanded to do pruvu. What does that mean? That a person has to bring children to the world. This is a very important mitzvah. You know what the Chazal they say, right? Whether you find in the Talmud or whether you find in the Zohar, a person who didn't do pruvu, he has no chelek in olam haba. He has no portion in the world to come. Very bad. A person has to try very, very carefully. He has to be very strong with this mitzvah. Okay, yeah, so there are some people who cannot do because they're impotent, whatever, they have a problem. They're not infertile. I'm not talking about that, right? There were also some big chachamim, who had no children. Like the Chazon Ish, like the Lubavitcher Rebbe, had no children, because they couldn't. That's why it was not because they didn't want to do the mitzvah. That's something else. We're not talking about that. We're talking about somebody who can do the mitzvah. He has the strength to do the mitzvah, but he doesn't want to. So you ask him, why not? Why don't you want to have children? Oh, I don't want to get married. Too much responsibility, too many financial burdens. I got to support the family now. I got it ties me down, I feel tied down. What tied down? What are you talking about? If you live your life like this, what's going to be is, they're going to tell you, when you go, right, to be judged, they're going to say, you had no children, you have no portion in the world to come. You know what they say, right? And it says in the Zohar HaKadosh, a person who does this, like this, lives like this, didn't have children, kafakela, this is how they punish him. You know what that means? That he has no place to rest, his neshama. So it wanders around in the world, They throw him over here, throw him over there. He goes to Russia, he goes to China, to Shanghai, right? He goes to Hong Kong, hovering everywhere, flying over, and he has no place to land. Why? He has no portion. Not in this world, not in the world to come. Nothing. This is the punishment. Kafakela. For a person who didn't have children, didn't do pruvu. What's the minimum amount of children a person has to have to do the mitzvah? Right? The truth is it's a machloket, in the Talmud. Bet Shemai, Bet Hillel, right? But the halacha is like Bet Hillel, that you have to have one boy minimum, right? And one girl minimum. So if you didn't do this yet, you still have to keep going until you finish the mitzvah. Otherwise, right, you didn't do the mitzvah. Half the mitzvah is no good, right? You can't do half a mitzvah. You have to do at least one girl, one boy. But here's the thing. So you may think, okay, well, Baruch Hashem, Ishtabach Shemo, right? Chazak Baruch. I already had one boy, one girl. I'm good. That's it, right? Finish. Kamarno, right? Now I can rest, take a vacation. You know what I mean? So is that really true? Is that true? Is that emet? So the truth is, right, it says the Rambam, laws of marriage, he says that even though a person already did the mitzvah pruvu, he had one boy and one girl, but still he has to continue according to Chachamim. Chachamim said continue, to have more children. Right? The rabbis commanded. The one boy, one girl is from the Torah. But from the Chachamim, keep going, right? Keep going. Don't stop. Move on, right? Because why? Because says the Rambam, if you bring one extra neshama into the world, it's like you made the whole world. Kadosh Baruch Hu gives you credit. One neshama is worth the whole world. So bring another one, right? That's the whole thing. Keep going. Why stop? Don't stop, right? But the truth is, sometimes. So the Rambam says like this, that keep going until you have the strength, Sometimes, you know what it is, right? People get older, they don't have strength anymore to have children, No strength, what can you do, right? It happens, A person loses, he gets to a later stage in his life. I know, some people, like already 50, 55, they cannot have children. Some 60, 65, some even 70, they can have children, age of 70. Who are the alufim, right? The champions of this. The Tenmanim, they say the Tenmanim, they have children even like in the age of 70. Why Temanim? What's the reason? What's the secret, right? The secret is because they're healthy people, First of all, they have a good diet. They eat good and they're skinny, So they don't have a lot of fat, They don't get fat. They don't get overweight. And because of this, they're healthy and strong. They live strong, and they have a koach to bring children even age of 70, 75. It's an amazing thing, right? So the Rambam says, as long as you have strength, keep going. So here's the thing, sometimes what happens is that, if let's say you're good, right? You have strength, Baruch Hashem, you have koach, but your wife is already tired, She comes and tells you, listen, I'm tired, my body is already, I don't have strength anymore. The children are making me crazy, they're driving me nuts, making me nervous all the time. I already have, 4 children, 5 children. I can't have any more. It's enough already. Dayenu. That's it, right? Enough already. So what do you do in a case like that? No. So the truth is, that sometimes there is a heter. If you go to a chacham, right, and he sees that your wife is not doing so well, with the children, he'll tell you, okay, you know what? If you already did pruvu, you had already, one girl, one boy minimum, right? So now, right, if your wife wants to take a break, let her take a break for a couple of years, 2 years, 3 years, take a rest, 5 years, whatever, and then, right, maybe she'll want to have more later on, So what can you do, right? So a person shouldn't, try to get divorced because of this, because he's gonna say, oh, my wife doesn't have any more children. You did pruvu, Baruch Hashem, from the Torah you did already. So if your wife, wants to stop a little bit, take a rest, okay, sometimes, there's justification for that, especially today the women are working, they have a career, they have a job. So it's hard for them to raise, 10, 15 children, sometimes. It's not easy for them to do that. So you have to understand, right, what to do, how to do everything the proper way. But the thing is, that if a person didn't have even one boy or one girl, he didn't have the minimum. So there, it says in the Shulchan Aruch, after 10 years, you have to divorce your wife and get a different wife. Because you have to bring somebody, who can have children. This wife, 10 years, no children, right? So you got to move on to somebody else. Just halacha, So what we do is, I remember when I was in Israel, this is what my friend did, Somebody was doing it with me in the kollel over there. I saw him, like a few years later after he left the kollel, and I told him, I said, what happened to you? Where are you? You okay? Everything good? So he told me, yeah. He says, I divorced my wife. Now I have a new wife. I told him, why'd you divorce your wife? He said, no children, So he says, now I took a new wife, and with the new wife, I have children. So, that's what a person has to do, Bemet, after 10 years. If he sees that he doesn't have children, he has to move on, and find another wife, whatever. First of all, they should check, who the problem is. The problem is with him or problem is with her. It's a good idea to check these things, you know what I mean? So that everything can be done properly, right? So the thing is that a person should continue, right, until he has the strength. But, as we said, right, sometimes this is not possible, But so we do the best we can, according to our strength. That's one thing. But says the Rambam also another thing, which is that, let's say a person, right, had already one wife, and let's say, she passed away, right, whatever, she died, right, whatever. Or let's say he got divorced, divorced his wife. So now, right, what should he do? He already did pruvu. He has children, So now, right, says the Rambam, take another wife, and don't stop there and say, okay, now I'll stay single, because I already did pruvu. I had a wife, everything was good. Baruch Hashem, yatzati yedei chova. No, right? The Rabbi said, find another wife now, right? Because first of all, there's two things, right? One, as we said, you should continue having more children if you can. That's one thing. Number two, also, if you don't have a wife, you sometimes the bad thoughts, hirhurim. You're thinking about bad things, because you don't have a wife, and this is no good. So a person, should always, if his wife passed away, lo aleinu, or he got divorced, find another one, Don't stop there and say, okay, enough, Dayenu. What Dayenu? You have to keep going. That's the way it is, Another thing the Rabbi said also, very important to understand, which is that also a woman, a woman, is she obligated to have children? Is that her mitzvah or it's the man's mitzvah? Whose mitzvah is it? It's the man's mitzvah, right? The women don't really have a mitzvah to have children. They're just helping you to do the mitzvah. They're helping the man to do the mitzvah. But the mitzvah is on you, right? So she helps you, yes, that's good, Baruch Hashem, but they don't have a mitzvah. So the truth is, they're not obligated really from the Torah to have children, the women, So if they didn't have children, they don't have any sin for that. There's no sin. Or let's say she didn't get married, right? Whatever, never got married. From the Torah, there's no sin. But, anyway, right, says the Rambam, anyway, she should get married, Why? The Rabbi said, because if you see a woman who doesn't get married, she's living single all her life. So what do you think about a woman like this, Something suspicious, you suspect her, Something wrong with this lady, Maybe she's a, not a nice woman, Something bad about her. She doesn't want to get married. She probably has a lot of boyfriends, or maybe she likes girls, lo aleinu, right? What is it with her? What is this with this lady, So when a woman doesn't get married, people suspect her, of these things. They say, what is this with this one, Doesn't want to get married, doesn't want to have children, nothing, So because of suspicion, says the Rambam, that she should get married. Because of this, not because it's from the Torah, but because of suspicion. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen amen. Rabbi Hananiah melech HaShomer, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא להחזיק ישראל, לפיכך הרבה להם תורה ומצוות, שנאמר אדוני חפץ, למען צדקו יגדיר תורה וידיר.